I'm Jill Schimpf. This is my husband Warren Schimpf. He's fourth generation. Here's cousin Steve. He's fifth generation. And Steve, what are we working on today?
Cinnamon red hot.
Cinnamon red hots. What do we have boiling in the kettle?
We have water.
Water.
Sugar.
Sugar.
Corn syrup.
Corn syrup.
Red coloring.
Red coloring. Hey, wait a minute, guys. What's missing in these cinnamon red hots?
Cinnamon.
The cinnamon. It's a sharp crowd, Steve. We're going to keep these people. I was raising up that bottle of cinnamon oil. Kind of expensive it is. $50 a bottle. Comes from a tree that's native to China and comes a long, long way to being our red hots. He's measured out just enough for today's batch. And Steve, how big is today's batch?
30 pounds.
30 pounds is a medium-sized batch. Not too big, not too small, just right. Now it's coming back, and I think he's going to look at that thermometer again.
320.
320 is the magic number. So Warren has to come over and get his gloves. 320 degrees. And take out that thermometer, get all the drips off. Don't want to waste any time here. Quickly. And there you go. Up and out. Be very, very glad your little fingers aren't under there. And aren't we glad on this side that we were smart enough this afternoon to put those little rails down around the edge. If we forget to do that, we have to share the candy with the floor. That's not much fun. So we're generally clever enough to put the little bars in place. Now get those drips off the rim of the kettle. There we go. And they're going to take it back to the stove and start a new batch. Now you might wonder about that bottle of cinnamon oil that's still sitting on the table, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, wait a minute. Why don't those silly people put the cinnamon in with the other ingredients? Why wait till the end and then have to mix it in by hand? That's a good question. We have a good answer. Good cooks will tell you, add your volatile flavorings when something is very hot or boiling. Off goes the flavoring with the steam. $50 a bottle, guys. We're not going there. That's all there is to it. Now you might wonder also about the thermometer. It's a big thermometer. I hate to tell you this, but great-grandfather didn't have a thermometer. But what he did have was a little glass of ice water. You know what's coming, don't you? He put his finger in the ice water and wait till his finger got good enough. This is worse than you thought, isn't it? We had to watch how the bubbles were cracking on the surface. We had listened to it. And when we thought it was just about right, quickly, he weaned very quickly out of the ice water into the kettle, out of the kettle into the ice water. He would feel the candy to decide what the temperature was. Don't do that at home. That's a very bad idea. Notice we're not using his technique here. We had a thermometer in the kettle. We also know that great-granddad went to the afterworld with all 10 fingers. So it couldn't have been too terribly dangerous if you knew what you were doing. And I guess he did. We've seen this written up in old recipe books, as well as having had the story passed down. So surely you caught it when Steve brought over the sugar for this second batch. Granulated sugar, cane sugar, white sugar, table sugar. Now he's adding the second sugar, what we call the second sugar. Those of you who can see what he's adding now know what the average person calls this. What is it? Corn sugar, corn syrup, whatever
Corn
you
sugar.
wanna call that icky, sticky mess that nobody likes to handle, especially not bare-handed. Yeah. So Warren's getting rid of all the corn syrup. You might also wonder about the tabletop. It's not marble, and you thought all those old-time candy makers used marble. Well, they did, and we did, and we do. We still pour out onto a big marble slab in the back cookroom. But this was a step up. We had a table in 1891 that came into use, so you could heat or cool your candy at will. Now, Steve is putting on his gloves again. The candy's not as hot as it used to be, but it's still very, very hot. Oh, look at this, we're lucky. Pull aside the iron bar.
It's like jelly.
Candy stays right where we put it. We say
like
it's
cinnamon
like an
jelly.
obedient dog. We say stay. And it does. Good dog, Candy. I wonder if it's ready for the cinnamon. Yeah, it's ready for the cinnamon oil. Look at that. Nice little circle of cinnamon oil. Now, if you're a country music fan, you know Johnny Cash made Ring of Fire really popular. There's Ship's Ring of Fire right there, cinnamon fire. Watch now, this is the pretty
Maybe
part.
that's what the ingredient is.
Look at
That's
that. Little
that
bit
was
like
burning
the stained glass
my
in
tongue.
a church window, don't you think? Now, there are several things that Steve is doing at this point. Obviously, he's cooling the candy, but he's also mixing that cinnamon flavoring in. When the flavoring is mixed in by hand like this, each piece is just a little bit different than the piece next to it. You might get a piece and say, yeah, it's kind of spicy. And the guy next to you gets a piece and says, nah, this is for wimps. They forgot to add the cinnamon to this batch. So we know they differ from piece to piece, but in general, we say our cinnamon candy is nicely spicy. Won't burn a hole in your tongue, just nicely spicy. Now, Steve, look at that. Some
That
of
did to me.
cinnamon oil has leaked out. You get that back in there, that's $50 a bottle. Well, let me take a little survey then. How many people think they can smell the cinnamon? Oh, way at the end too. Well, all right. Warren, you're farthest away. He smells it. I smell it. Steve, what about you? Oh boy, does he smell the cinnamon? The Joe
Hot, isn't it?
working with cinnamon. Watery eyes, runny nose. But there are many.
It's extra ingredients.
Cooling the candy as well as
It's all smooshy jelly. Well, it's, well, for now. Well, I don't know.
now you can smell the cinnamon on that side, or you can smell it on this side, but guess what? Anybody outside can smell it too. We play a dirty, rotten trick on you. Yeah, you guessed it. Steve is working under that great big hood that's attached to a fan. You got it. We blow just a little bit of the smell, not much, about 15% goes right out onto the street. Now that's mean, downright mean of us. That's cheap advertising that we have to use, and so we do.
She got told.
All right. Let me tell you a little bit about the antique equipment that we use. Now, I hope you caught that. It's the equipment that's antique. I'm saying about people, so keep that straight. If you look up, you'll see that he's under a little hood there. Holding it over like that.
Mm.
Did they just water these?
So the antique equipment, if you look down, you see our candy stove. Vulcan Hart's name is on the front. Vulcan Hart is still making stoves in Louisville, another old company like Chimp. Cast iron, brick line, gas fired. The little rings on the top tell you it's a typical candy maker stove. You can add or subtract the rings to accommodate different size copper kettles. Now, the kettles that we use here in Chimps are all made out of copper. There's a reason for that. Cooks and candy makers just love copper. Copper spreads heat really well, no hot spots. Copper is not as heavy as cast iron. You don't break your back quite so badly. But the main reason for using copper, it's prettier than cast iron and it looks nicer cooking on the stove or hanging on the wall. All right, antique stove, antique kettles. The table is the true antique. The table is 134 years old, same as the store. If you don't believe me,
I can
Steve's
tell.
pointing out the plaque on the side says March 31st, 1891.
I can
You
tell.
do the math, that's 134 years. It has a steel top and it's water cooled. Turn on that cold water for a bit, Steve.
I can feel it. I can feel the water under me. I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel
We
it.
can spray hot or cold water to the underside of the table to heat or cool the candy. That was high tech in 1891. We just celebrated a birthday, didn't we? Steel top, 134 years. You don't believe me? He's put his hands along the side there, you saw the flags.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Steve was telling us that we've forgotten something.
91.
Look at all that cinnamon red.
Not you, Steve. It's behind you. The hook. We'd like y'all to take a really, really good look at the hook. That's where we hang the kids that can't behave. That's where we hang them right there on the hook. Steve, you wouldn't really hang a kid on that hook, would you? Yes, he would.
Oh.
I got one.
I think we better tell the truth about the hook. Well, that's the way of explaining it. If you want your egg whites to appear white, you beat air into them. We do the same thing with the candy, only we pull the air in. Put the uncolored candy on the hook and pull. Put it on the hook again, pull again. 10 minutes later, your arms fall off, the candy turns white. You have that nice white background or lump of white candy. But we're not making white candy today, we're making red candy, cinnamon red hot. So he's gonna bring the candy down to the warm, heater here. Come on down, there are 3 big windows here. Position yourself along, the little kiddos can get on the step.
I will.
And then walk up. There's a whole window that needs filling. We're gonna be working all along here, so you'll see.
Do you need to get up to
Get
right?
those little kids, do I see little heads back there? No, okay. This long wooden table is called the bench by the candy maker, and we have sugared the bench. That's a lot like flouring the board at home. You don't like your biscuits and your cookies to stick to the board. We don't like our candy to stick to the bench, therefore the sugar. The machine is called a drop roll machine. It's called a drop roll machine because it makes hard candy drops, whether they're cinnamon drops, licorice drops, whatever. We have a fan blowing out the machine. Why? Those rollers are made out of brass and metal. As the warm candy goes through, those metal rollers
I have a mirror there for.
they get hotter and hotter.
I didn't see that
If
here.
the candy touches
Right there.
something that's as hot or hotter than the candy itself, it sticks. We don't like the candy to stick to the rollers either, therefore the fan. Now Steve has the candy in front of a heater called a batch warmer.
Looks like we got a giant red worm.
We have to keep the candy warm while we're working with it. If the candy gets cold before you want it to get cold, tough, throw it out. Not much you can do with 30 pounds of candy that solidifies on you, unless, of course, there's a big mouth in the crowd. There wouldn't be a big mouth in this crowd. I think I detect a person that wants to volunteer to become the big mouth. And I see several people who are volunteering their neighbor to be the big mouth. We'll just leave it as it is for now, Steve. So nobody has to shove 30 pounds of candy in their mouth at one time. That would not be a pretty picture, no. Well, Steve is gonna pick up his little bitty scissors. Remember the hook? Well, if the hook didn't get you, the scissors might. Cut it off, don't put it through yet. We all have to cross our fingers and hope it comes through squares. Cross fingers, squares. What do you know? You crossed your fingers just right. And look how putting it through again. You can see how the sugar helps glide the candy easily over the surface, takes all the work right out of our job, doesn't it? Well, we do 4 flavors on the squares: cinnamon, anise, clove, and the horehound cough drop. Now, you might think it's kind of strange for a candy company to be making a cough drop, but we've been doing this since 1891. We start from scratch with this plant. This is horehound early. It's a member of the mint family. We make the tea out of this, strain the tea, and make the cough drop. So if anybody has any fluid symptoms, coughs or colds, we may have the remedy for you, the horehound cough drop. Since 1891. All right. 4 flavors on the squares, but I'm sure you very, very observant people have noticed the wall behind me, and you see that we are not limited to squares. We could be pressing this hard candy into a wide variety of other shapes. We could be doing little shells or pickles to puppy dogs, we say. The company that made these, and this is the largest collection of brass straw rolls on public display in the United States. The company that made these was the Thomas Mills Brothers Company of Philadelphia. They were active from the 1860s during the Civil War through the 1940s when they closed their doors. Nobody's making small hand-operated equipment like this any longer because next to nobody is using equipment like this any longer except nuts like us. Now, originally, this machine was hand cranked. Warren here remembers the days of cranking the candy through. He said in the old days, they had to have muscles to make candy. Those days are gone. And this machine, like the others above my head, had a handle. We took the handle off and we added the motor in the 1980s. We said that's when we joined the 20th century. We're not planning to join the 21st century. We made that decision. But you're our good friends here. We expect you to keep a few secrets for us. I hope you can keep secrets. There's no need to talk about the DVD player, the microwave, the digital scale. We've had to modernize just a little bit, and you don't have to advertise the fact for us. So, mum's the word. Now, usually the people that stand right where you're standing, yeah, you guys, do the counting. Yeah, you count each and every red hot, one by one, just as they come. Steve, you're shaking your head. Is there a problem?
Nobody's been counting.
He says nobody's been counting red hots. Now what do we can't be doing that? Get another one there.
We know we get. We know we get 100.
Warren's telling us that we get 100 red hots out of every pound. Does anybody remember how many pounds we made today? 30. You don't have to be Einstein to figure this out. 30 pounds. Each pound gives us 100 pieces. How many little red hots will we soon have on the table? How many? 3,000 or 3,000 little red hots on the table. How about a little applause for the candy makers? They've done a mighty fine job. But don't go yet. We know what you all are thinking. You're all thinking the same thing. You're wondering how we separate these little red hots from one another. We'd love to have you think we spend our days and nights after midnight breaking these apart one by one. You know that can't be true. Well, maybe we have a little snipper and we clip each one. No, I don't think so. Actually, it's taken us 134 years of research. Oh!
Uh-oh.
Well, Warren, do another one. This one is easily amused. This
Whoops.
is why they're called cinnamon red hot drops. That's a bad joke, bad. But Warren's gonna put, oh, he loves to drop the drops. He's gonna put some of these warm cinnamon red hots into a little scoop. And he's going to give you a sample. Now, I hope you're not like the third grade kid who said, "What's a sample?" We're sure you know what a sample is. Now, in a crowd this size, we're bound to have one or two wimps. You know, people who can't take the heat. For you wimps, we have the ship lemon drop. So light up, or you can stand by the half door down there. Tell him if you want a cinnamon red hot, or if you're a wimp and you're getting a lemon drop. For those exotic people, we have black candy, thanks so much. You get 3 babies.
Grab that sweet little girl right there.